All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining the March edition of the Radius Community Call. I'm Reshma. I'm a product manager with the Radius team. So I'll be hosting today's community call. So let's just go through some of the logistics here. So everyone is on mute by default. And if somebody joins along the way and have questions, you can let us know. Since most of the folks here are internal, I think if anybody has questions who is watching the video, please reach out to us either in YouTube comments or in the Discord. So it's going to be a light agenda today. We are going to share some of the Radius updates that has happened since the last community call and what's happening behind the scenes on what's upcoming with Radius. And then I'll share some details around the community events Radius is participating. So quickly on the release updates for dot from the Radius release dot 55. So we added a new annotation to basically mark the sensitive data when you're um, like writing all these like resource type definitions that has the sensitive data. So Radius basically redacts the data, and then during the deployments, it redacts the data and doesn't like share the data across. So I'm going to pass it on to Lakshmi to give a quick demo on this. So over to you, Lakshmi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Lakshmi. I'm an engineer on the team. And I'm going to share some information on how Radius is handling sensitive data. I'm going to share my screen. We have a heat wave going on here in California. So if I start saying something crazy, let me know. We're not used to this. All right. The key feature, I hope you can see my screen. All right. Yeah, so there's a new annotation called X radius sensitive. This is an example of how we you could use it in a custom type. So just to note, radius has we define types in YAML, but internally they do map to bicep types. So an X radius sensitive on a string type would map to a secure string in bicep, and that deployed on an object would map to a secure object in bicep. So we see three use cases in this example. We have a couple of top level properties that are marked with this annotation. We see a nested property here inside the credentials object where one of them is marked as a sensitive with the annotation, and then the entire object here is marked with the annotation. So this is typically how we would kind of define them. I'm going to show you an example of how this could be. This is a simple example where we have a backing recipe, which just creates a Kubernetes secret with the values passed in. Bicep gives this linter warning if something is not, if the annotation that is marked X3D, a field marked with that annotation is not being passed in with a secure parameter. So the custom aspect of this is what Radius does is each of these fields is encrypted. We have an async processing for our requests. So when a request comes in, each of these fields is encrypted, and then the backend decrypts it, puts it in memory, and immediately deletes it before handing it off to the recipe processing engine, which can then deploy whichever resource it is with these sensitive values. So Radius would not have any persisted information or sensitive information that is being passed in by the user. I think that is the key piece here. For purposes of this demo, I did have an environment set up. I've done some setup already where an environment is set up with a recipe pack for the type that we just see. And I'm just gonna try and deploy it. So I'm creating some values on the fly. For the object that is mark sensitive, I'm using a file with the object for an example. And there's even a environment variable that's being passed in for one of these sensitive stored values. One critical aspect is in the entire request processing. Whenever there is a get called on the resource, we make sure that the sensitive data is always redacted, regardless of the state of the request that it is in. And yeah, all right. So let's see when we do a get on the resource. I'm gonna have to increase this. We should see that the API key is nulled out. The secret is nulled out with the nested property here. The password is nulled out, as well as the entire object for connection config. But let's see what secret was created. Secret, I do have a command to get values out of the secret in Kubernetes, since this is a local cluster I have full access to. Yeah, so you can see that data is in the deployed resource, but it will not be in any gets that we do on the resource. So I think that was the long and short of it. From a user perspective, of course, this is how this is an example of how users would set up their types. We have one example in the resource type contrib repo that I can put a link in the chat to. We will expand that further. I see Zach's hand is up. Yes, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. Hey, Lakshmi, just to make sure I understand and for the other viewers. So this, I sort of get the mechanics here, about annotating a property on a resource type as sensitive so that data doesn't get persisted in the radius control plane. But maybe what's some of the use cases? I know you said we had one in the docs. I think so. This is on a resource type, probably like a database. Maybe you can just kind of give me the scenario of how you think this will be used, like on a database credential.
Yes, this could be used for any sensitive, any data the user seems or deems would be sensitive. That it could be data that is stored in secrets, could be credentials, API keys. I think those were some of the examples we had. But they could then be used when provisioning databases and other resources that need these credentials to be for them to be accessible. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I guess like in the docs, I think we have it on really just on the secret
right now. Yeah, we will have more examples, I think, when we update the tutorial and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. So I think today we have it on the secret resource, just on the data, so the actual sensitive data within the secret resource type. And so if you had, like, for example, a database that wanted to use, had a database credential, you would use a radius secret to store that credential. The database type itself would not have that, the secret. It would just have a reference to the secret resource. Yes. And then, so within the radius secret type that we ship out of the box, this is where we're using this sensitive annotation. So most users, if they're using the out of the box radius secret resource type, they wouldn't necessarily have to mark their properties as sensitive, but they could. Like, this is an extensible thing, but it's primarily built for the secret resource type that we ship with radius. Is that right?
That is the use case now, but yes, it is extensible. So it is type agnostic. You could mark this sensitive annotation on any type for as long as it's a string or an object. data type for any property on any type. I think that's the idea of it. So it's not restricted to the secret. Right now, that's the use case we're showing, but it is type agnostic.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yes, some small points we've also done in the encryption. We use a CHACHA 20 poly 1305 algorithm, and we did do associate binding an association with every field and path for the encrypted value, so it can't be moved around. We've taken some steps there just to ensure application encryption is pretty good. I want to shout out to Shruti, who's on the call, who also helped me develop, jumped in development phase, and we finished this feature together. Yeah, and that's it from me.
Cool there. Thanks, Lakshmi. So I'm going to demo an extension of what we've been talking about, modeling secrets inside an application. This is something that Zach touched upon a little on when there are dependencies and when there are secrets for the dependencies, how do we model them in the application? So my screen is coming through, right?
Yep.
Cool. So this is your standard app.bicep. So I'm going to show a few resource types here. So this is the standard application, and then you have a container. And then when the container needs to talk to a dependency like database, so PostgreSQL is a dependency here. And then for PostgreSQL, there could be a secret which holds the username and password. So in this case, I just picked the case where there could be a username password to connect to the PostgreSQL. So there's a secret resource type. And all these are so basically resource types that I have like pre-created them in the environment so that you could like model them in the application.bicep. So what I'm going to show here is earlier what it used to be the case that we do a connection to the secret here, and this would be like db secret.id, db secret.id, and then here again I have to do a connection because this PostgreSQL needs a secret to provision the resource. So this makes it difficult because you need to like have multiple connections from the container to the secret directly and connection to the PostgreSQL to the secret directly. But at the end of the day, it's only the PostgreSQL that requires the secret. So what we are like thinking to establish as a pattern is to reference the secret as a property within the DB resource itself, so that the container doesn't have to like have a connection to the secret directly. It's all like encapsulated within the DB resource itself. So when you provision the PostgreSQL, you have the secret as a property here. The secret name is a property here. And then your recipe basically picks up the secret name, decodes the value, and then provisions the database. And then that secret name is basically a property within the PostgreSQL. And then when a container wants to connect to the database directly, the secret name is available. And then right now, this is an extensible type that I'm using. So this is going to be available pretty soon as part of Radius install that everybody could start using it. Now I've pre-registered a recipe for this. The recipe would basically decode the secret value, decode the secret and get the value, and then inject those as environment variables to your container so that your container could connect to the database. So two main things here. One is like keeping the secret within the dependency itself, so that the container doesn't have to know about the different secrets for the different dependency. And if there are multiple dependencies that the container is connecting to, then again, like having multiple secrets would basically like cause schema to become like quickly unstructured, not unstructured, but like too much to handle, because we need to know like which secret is linked to which dependency. So I'm going to quickly deploy this. So I'm using like a basic like OpenSSL password generator here to generate the password. But in your case, like in a typical CI/CD, you can like use any way to generate a password. So once this is deployed, whatever okay. I think there's something wrong with my.
I think you're missing a bracket on line 41, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. Okay.
We know you're just trying to show proof that this is a live demo. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to undo your changes when you show some changes in the app.bicep. So yeah. So yeah, this is getting deployed. Yeah, this is a typical, yeah, our typical like to-do list app. I can also show you the list of recipes. All these recipes are available in the resource type contrib.
So I have a couple of clarifying questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is pretty neat because the container is connecting to the database
Right,
and it's somehow getting database credentials along with that connection. Can you
right.
tell me as a developer
Mm-hmm.
how how do I use like how do I construct my database connection string? Like where how would I access the credentials that are stored in that secret?
So that would be available via this property. So it's basically an identifier. Secret name is an identifier that holds the secret value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this data is basically held in DB secret, and DB secret is the name that is referenced here. So what we do is, as part of the container, we have a logic to just look for secret name in the dependency, just decode it and then fetch it.
So in my say I have a Python application and
Mm-hmm.
I need to put in database connection string and the username password.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so typically I would read that from an environment variable.
Right.
The say the password is an environment variable getting created here, or do I need to
Yes.
add
So,
like an env in my container definition?
so in this case, an environment variable is getting created for username and password. So these are the connection, like all these are coming in from the PostgreSQL connection.
I see.
So this is not an ideal way to actually do it. In the case of enterprise, I think if you have the secret name identifier, because there's also the secret name just as the property of PostgreSQL, right? So all the properties of PostgreSQL are injected as environment variables. So if you have the secret name, I think you can write your runtime code in such a way that it connects to the the secret infra, right? Basically a key vault, it could be a key vault or a Kubernetes secret, and fetch the value directly by referencing the secret name.
So typically I would
So
do that today by an environment variable defined on my pod spec, or mounting a Kubernetes secret or a key vault, mounting that as a volume and then reading it off the local file system.
Exactly. So
But
so that is
I
another.
see here basically so Radius is automatically creating environment variables
Mhm.
from the data that's in the secret that's referenced in the database resource.
Exactly, in
Okay.
your dependency. So your container recipe basically takes care of that. So there could be like cases where you can have the, as you just mentioned, right? Like the secret could be a volume mount to your Kubernetes pod. So the same logic applies here. You can directly reference the secret name in the container like definition and have your container recipe take care of it, however you want to do it. But
Gotcha.
the predefined like container recipe that we have today injects the username and password from the secret reference that you provide as part of the dependency.
Okay. So if I wanted to change, there's basically two methods, like in Kubernetes containers, at least, like environment variables or a volume mount. So if I wanted to use the volume mount approach for my secrets, I could just modify the container recipe.
Right. Yeah, you can.
Okay. Second question.
And
So
also one thing to add on that, if there are other identities or other roles that you want to bring in, those could also be redacted, and then you could basically like have ways like build abstractions in your application code to use that role directly for your application to connect across the dependencies in your app.bicep. It's not just limited to just username and password. It can be applied to any sort of identity, managed identity or workload identity, or like even IAM roles from the AWS side.
okay.
Yeah.
Second question, when you did rad deploy, you
Mm-hmm.
had this -p password OpenSSL. Could
Mm-hmm.
you explain that just a little bit? What is all this OpenSSL stuff, and where did this password and username get defined?
Uh, so So this was something that Lakshmi touched upon. So we have the secure annotation, right? So I've basically put the secure annotation for password and username. So I've declared them as parameters. So what I'm doing is I'm passing all these like whatever parameters that your app.bicep requires, like via -p here. So on the OpenSSL, I just like pick the OpenSSL as a password generator, so that it generates an encrypted value for the password. But there could be like other ways that you can bring in your password and pass in this as a parameter to the DB secret. So this is where it is actually getting used, the value and the username and the password.
Okay, so you're basically just going from the command line
Mm-hmm.
to the parameter that you defined at the top of your application definition,
Right.
and then using those parameters as the data that gets put into the secret.
Right.
And then we heard from Lakshmi how that data was treated, because on the
Right.
secret resource type, it's annotated as sensitive.
Right.
So when we see password, or actually when we see anything on the data, because I think it was the data property on the secret that's annotated as sensitive. So that whole data block gets encrypted while it's in basically being processed while during the deployment, and then redacted from the radius control plane. Did I get that
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions?
I'm
Uh,
glad
Thanks
we're,
for asking those questions. I think it'll help the YouTube viewers to understand.
yeah,
And also
yeah.
if there are any
I think we
external
got the
folks here.
right. I think we got the right pattern here on, tracing like sensitive data through the whole
Mhm.
system. So yeah, thanks for this.
Cool. I am going to switch back to the presentation here. Um, taking some time. Okay. So I'm going to quickly run through some more updates from the past release. So I think in our last community call, Philippe from one of our customers, production customers, Millennium BCP, gave a demo on this Radius plugin for headlamp. So it's finally merged. And we are like working on a blog post that goes into the details of how you can use the plugin and then the internals that went into it. Will Tai is working with Philippe to get this blog post out. So once that is out, I think that will give ways for how you can try this out. So I've also linked like a couple of like resources here. One is the plugin is actually published as a package in the artifacthub.io. You can go and take a look at it, and then also a link to the PR. Anything else that you want to add here, Will?
Yeah, so if you visit the artifacthub.io link that's displayed over here, in it you'll find the instructions on how to get started with using the plugin. So, and then of course, as Reshma mentioned, when the blog post comes out, we'll have a little bit more details on expanding on how to use it, and more importantly, how the internals of this plugin works with the Radius API. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that, and looking forward to share that with everybody.
And then we fixed an issue. We did not fix it. Actually, one of our community member helped fix this issue, thanks to Nizar Tairwala. So we had a pretty bad bug in the dashboard where it failed to display the custom resource types that used API versions other than the standard one that we had, like 2023, 2001 preview. So now if you have any custom resource types, or like resource types with versions other than this one, I think you can see the list of resource types getting displayed in the dashboard. So he's one of our new contributors, thanks to Nizar for contributing on this. And then this was another pretty bad usability issue that we had, wherein when we had a bicep template that had the environment resource type, we were failing to deploy it, and then we were asking users to like pre-create an environment via the CLI. So this bug has been fixed. Now you can directly create an environment without having to pre-create an environment via CLI. So this is only like on when you want to deploy an environment resource type via bicep. And then there are a couple of small fixes wherein rad app graph and rad version was not like giving the output JSON properly. So now it returns valid JSON. And then on the upgrade side, rad rollback Kubernetes list revisions was not showing correct revision timestamps. So this was fixed as well. So these are some of the usability improvements that went into our last release. Now on the looking forward section, I'm going to pass it to Will to give a quick overview on what we've been working on as part of Radius.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Reshma. So we touched on this earlier. The Radius plugin for Headlamp has been completed and merged and is now available for use. So we've moved that into the done bucket. And that's really the major update on the roadmap for the past month. A couple of things that are still under development and we've been making some progress on are compute platform extensibility, and with it, with sort of this packaged within this compute platform extensibility work is also recipe packs, advanced Terraform settings, and customizable Terraform backend. We've been making progress on these areas, and you actually might notice in the CLI, you can actually deploy recipe packs and go play around with these features now. A lot of them are gated under a dash dash preview flag today. And of course, we're working on getting it integrated into Core Radius. And once everything's integrated, the dash dash preview will go away. And then you might also have noticed in the CLI, we've began to show warnings about the old, the legacy sort of radius resource types being deprecated in favor of the new extensibility forward ones that begin with a radius.core or radius.whatever namespace versus the legacy ones that are the applications.core, applications.whatever namespace. So as we do the work to integrate the extensible resources into Radius, we'll talk about the path to deprecation and path to migrate over to all the new resource types. But yeah, we will keep you posted on that, but that's still in progress, and that's why all these areas are still under development. Majority of the features are complete. We're just working on getting things integrated, fixing bugs that we might find in as a part of the integration. And once that's done, we can officially do the migration and kind of outline those steps for the community. And then last time, we also introduced some ideas or some things that we were designing and prototyping. We're continuing with these areas, three main areas: Git repo as a Radius data store, auto creation of resource types, recipes, and applications, and then also a Git-centric app graph that can be displayed in a Git-centric kind of UI like GitHub. We're still working through the designs and the prototyping for these, and hopefully we'll have something to share with you all soon. But yeah, those are the main things that the team has been working on in terms of the roadmap. Back to you, Rashma.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for going over those. So a couple of community events that are upcoming. So Will Tai and Nuno from Millennium BCP. So this is one of our production customers. So they're going to be doing a talk on the March 24th. So I've added the details here and a link. So if you are there, um, yeah, feel free to attend this session. And for the rest of the folks who are not going to be there, I'll make sure to send a link to the recording once it's out. Also, Will Tai and Sylvan, maintainers from the Radius team, would be there at the Radius booth. So if you have any questions around Radius, or if you want to share any feedback, generally, just come say hi, and then share your feedback as well. So that's on Radius at KubeCon View. And I think
Hey, Will.
same week we have the MVP Summit happening as well. So if you are an MVP who's watching this video, so there are two sessions that where Radius is going to, where we are going to have Radius presence. So one is the Unplugged with Mark Russ. So Mark is going to give a 2 hour update on so this is going to be a 2 hour like meeting. So he's going to like give an update on the Azure, followed by Zach's presentation on like what we are doing on the Radius side. And there's going to be a deep dive session on Radius as well, which is on Friday. So me and Zach would be part of the presentation. We would like go in depth into a simple demo and then learn all the concepts of Radius and like deploy a simple application using Radius. So these are two sessions. And if you're an MVP that's attending the MVP Summit, we would like to say hi as well. So give us a ping either in Discord or like via any other chats too. So yeah, Zach, did you have something that you want to add?
Yeah, just two things. Will, can you maybe drop the times that that you'll be at the Radius kiosk? You know, I know in the KubeCon Project Pavilion, there's a bunch of different ones, and you know, it's and there's only limited time that Radius will be there. Maybe if you could drop it in the chat here and also maybe in the Discord chat, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll post it to Discord and also to our socials. So
yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, excellent. And yeah, I know the Microsoft MVP Summit is an invite only affair, but we'll take the hands-on deep dive workshop that we're going to do in person, and we'll be sure to publish it somewhere, probably on the Radius blog or something like that. It's a nice demo that Reshma's put together, and I think you'll all find it pretty interesting to walk through the walkthrough. So thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, other than that, I do have some standard links here. So if you're new to Radius and you're watching this video, just get started with the tutorial. And if you want to influence what we are working on, just go to the Radius roadmap link here, upvote on any of the things that you see there, or you can also add issues to a Radius repo. We continuously monitor the Radius repo within our team for new issues and promote them to this Radius roadmap when we see fit. So yeah, that brings us to the end. Anything else anybody wants to share? I don't see any external folks here, but anybody wants to share anything, feel free to do.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.